Hey there YouTube, this is Jesse with Permofit. I'm going to show you how to install a new ceiling fan. Now I have one sitting down here in a box. This is my old one. It is brass and orange. Not my favorite colors, but I'm going to show you how to do it. You're going to need some tools. First tool I highly recommend, I like to call it a wiggy stick, or shoot, you can call it whatever you want. But basically, this guy detects power. You don't want to be messing with electricity with it on. All it takes is one short to ground, or you complete a circuit, and it'll either light up your life or end it. So get something like this, or a multimeter. Something to make sure you can power off. Check power off.
Alright, so here I'm showing you the tools that I'm going to be using. This ends up being kind of a cluster, and the whole process took me probably about 4 hours. Not very fun. But here I'm taking off the fan blades. I'm speeding this whole process up at about 800%. So I'm hoping that you can bear with it for a few minutes. It gives you just a general overview on how to remove a ceiling fan. So I'm just pulling the screws out at this point. It's just time consuming.
There is a pin up here. Bring it up here to let you see it. It's dark in here because I got the power turned off and the lights turned off. So I got the fan blades removed, and there is a support pin up here. So we're going to want to pop this guy off. That'll allow this fan to drop down. Then there'll be some wires that we're going to have to disconnect. And there's this guy as well. So you may need to support it for a little bit until you can get the power checked and disconnected.
Okay. So I'm proceeding to try to take those pins out, which ends up being a hassle, like everything on this project. This thing is heavy. It's real brass, not just plated brass. It is a pain. So I'm pulling the power off and trying to support this deal. Now all the power is off, and as you can see, and here, there's still power on there. It ends up having like 1.5 circuits tied together. There's the circuit for the lighting, and it's got power, and then there's the circuit that has power for the fan. When I turn the breakers off, there is still power on one of the circuits. And you'd think, oh, okay, so 2 neutrals, 2 hots. No, it was a neutral and 2 hots, and one of the hots was always on. So that was kind of a hassle. Taking the old bracket off here, that wasn't that big a deal. But the studs don't line up quite like I was hoping, and the box is smaller than the standard size box they use to mount the new bracket on. So I end up having to warp the bracket, or kind of crush it, which makes it not fit into the box. And I end up having to drive a bunch of extra screws in. I kept dropping screws. So this is a type of anchor that I used. It's pretty handy. I use them at work quite a bit. It ended up being virtually useless. This is it almost like a lath and plaster type ceiling, except it's sheetrock with just plaster, a layer of plaster on top, and then they spackled and painted over the plaster. And then on top of the ceiling there's a little bit of vermiculite, and on top of that there's insulation. It's the recycled fiberglass insulation, which is gray, I believe. So here I'm trying to screw the base on, which is also fairly heavy. At this point, I don't think I'd eaten that much. I had some coffee and maybe an energy drink, but I was getting pretty tired. Like I said, the whole process took me it was over 4 hours. So I'm trying to screw this thing on. I ended up going to the store a couple times to get extra screws because I kept dropping them, losing them, stuff wouldn't fit. So I'm trying to get this base to screw on to this, I think it's like an extension post that the wires go through. And because I crushed that mount, it doesn't fit quite right. It's like a triangle shape. Pain in the butt. So I'm cutting the extra wire off, I'm stripping it, I'm getting it ready to tie it in. This is the part that took the longest. It's getting it to tie in such a fashion to where I can get the light to actually come on, off, and dim, and get the fan to operate separately. So initially I had purchased a remote for this thing. It's like 45 bucks, and I kind of got it to work. It was a pain in the butt. I had to have constant power to the remote, and then temporary power to part of the fan, and it worked for about 3 weeks, about a month. And then the remote receiver, which is mounted up in that small base, which barely fit because I crushed it and the whole 9 yards, it actually ended up burning up. So I had to tear it apart. The remote stopped working, and now I had to rewire it again, which took me another like 2 hours to come up with a new system, where I think I ended up abandoning one of the wires. So now it just operates on a dimmer light switch, which controls the light, and then you have to pull the chain to turn the fan on and off. But anyway, so I got that thing mounted and wired the first time, and now I'm putting on the second part, which is the, as you can see, it's kind of a short mount that holds the light and the light fixtures. I'm putting some screws in there. I dropped so many times, and I'm just sitting on top of my bed, or standing on top of my bed. My legs are getting tired at this point because you're constantly trying to use your feet to stabilize yourself, which is a hassle. So, hope this was informative. It was a pain in the butt. I'm glad it is done.
Ta-da! If you want to see more epic fails like this one, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Booyah! Sometimes when you do it yourself, it's a struggle.